Hello, good evening, greetings, family. June Allen here, your racial sobriety mentor from juneallen.net. And I am a mom, an entrepreneur, and I teach sisters how to heal from addiction to self-hate with racial sobriety. And you've had a good day. So today I want to be talking about I want to share some lessons that I've learned over the summer holidays, and I want to share them with you to help you think about the summer holidays next year, to help think about that, and also just the school's holidays in general. You know, there's been a lot of talk that I've seen over the last few days about, you know, the kids are going back to school and all of that kind of stuff. So before everybody's kind of jumps back into the routine of term time, I wanted to take the opportunity to jump on and have a conversation about how you can use what's happened during the summer holidays to just really think about your parenting, to be more compassionate as a parent, and to use what you've learned over the summer holidays just to also take care of yourself, use that as a learning tool. So before I kind of dive into the content, I am just going to share, I'm just going to share the page to my other group. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so there we are. There we go. So let me just share that. Share there. And also to share in my group. Right, so that's done. So yeah, I hope you've had a good summer. For those of you that are mums, I know it can be, you know, it can feel. It's quite an interesting shift that happens actually over the summer holidays, because you get so in the routine of term time that sometimes it takes a little while to kind of adjust to you know, to having your children around a lot more. So yeah, so I want to just to take this opportunity. So I want to share three lessons that I've learned, or three lessons that would be good for you to think about, you know, towards the end of the summer holidays. Hi, thanks for joining. Yeah, so the first thing is, how did you feel? How did you feel during the summer holidays? Quite often, you know, it's so easy for us to kind of think about how long the summer holidays are, you know, what we have to do in terms of childcare, and we're trying to juggle quite a lot. We're trying to juggle quite a lot because having the children around us a lot more means that we have to adjust our schedules. We have to adjust what we do personally. We have to take time off work. We have to, you know, if we co-parent, we have to sort of do a lot of juggling with the other parent as well, and that can sometimes, you know, keep us really, really busy. So we don't always have time to really think about how we feel about our children being around us a lot more. So I'd like you to actually just take the time to, obviously when you're listening, if you're listening to this live, obviously you can, you know, you can drop in the comments and stuff as well about how you felt about your children being there. But what I would suggest you do is, after the live, if you haven't got time to actually do it now, just rewatch the live after I've done it, and actually, you know, sit down and have some quiet time and actually write out these questions, because this is really going to help you in terms of your parenting if you give yourself the space to actually get honest about what we're going to talk about. If there's anybody that you think, you know, struggled over the summer holidays, and you think that they would, this is something that you think that they would be interested in, then obviously please share it with them or tag them on this, and you know, in the comments. So yeah, it's important to think about, the first thing about the summer holidays is, how did you feel? I was one of those parents that used to dread the summer holidays. I used to dread them because, you know, I found the summer holidays quite stressful, and also I found it quite difficult being around my daughter, because I had quite a difficult relationship with my mum. And you know, just to give you a little bit of a backstory, I've been in recovery I've been in recovery from addiction to abusive relationships, dysfunctional relationships, codependent relationships, since 2009. And you know, and I had quite a difficult relationship with my mum, and that made it very difficult for me to transition to becoming a parent, because I didn't know how to parent. I didn't know how to parent. I literally had to learn how to. I had to start from scratch. You know, when I was pregnant, I remember reading loads of books about parenting and stuff like that. But one of the most difficult things to be as a parent, when I had a difficult relationship with my mum, was being afraid that I wasn't going to be good enough to parent my own child, being afraid that I was going to hurt my child, and being afraid that I was going to beat my child, because I didn't want to be that parent. I didn't want to feel, I didn't want my daughter to feel about me the way that I felt about my mum. And that was very painful. I didn't want to repeat the same thing. So I'm constantly looking for ways that I can, number one, improve the relationship with myself, because I know that when I improve the relationship I have with myself, by default, it improves the relationship I have with my daughter. So, you know, summer holidays were very difficult because I would get very triggered. I would get very triggered by my daughter. And if you actually, last week I did a Facebook Live on do your children trigger you? And I talked about this topic in a lot more depth. If you go to backtoschool.juneallen.net, and I'll put that in the comments, or somebody could type it in the comments for me, that'd be great. Back to school, back to with is as the number, and then obviously school is the word, .juneallen.net. Then you'll find that particular live in the on that page, where I do talk about that in a lot more detail. So getting honest with how you feel, how you felt about being a parent during the summer holidays, is going to reveal a lot about where you are in terms of the relationship with yourself, and where you are in terms of the relationship with your children. Because even if you don't tell your children how you feel about being a parent, your children are going to pick up on that. Your children are going to pick up on that. And one of the ways that I was able to turn around the summer holidays was, you know, I started to be more intentional about what I wanted to do over the summer holidays, and not kind of look at it as an interruption to what I was already doing. And I began to get honest. I had to get honest about how I felt, and, you know, the recovery process, seeing a therapist and all that kind of stuff, to kind of unpick all of the stuff and deal with all the difficult, challenging things that I had to deal with around my mum, really helped me to get honest about and process the difficult things, the difficult feelings that I had around my mum, and also to think about the type of parent that I actually wanted to be, to think about the type of parent that I wanted to be. And with my daughter during the school holidays, you know, how could I make that an experience that was memorable? How could I make that an experience that where I felt connected to her, where I enjoyed it, You know, there was times in the past where I couldn't enjoy it because it was just too painful. But now, you know, for the last few years in particular, you know, I can honestly say that I actually missed her when she's gone back to school, and she says the same to me. There's been a few times, you know, over the last few years in particular, where she's cried because she didn't want to go back to school, because we've had so much, she's felt so connected to me and stuff like that. And I love that, and that's when I know that I'm on the right track. So, you know, asking yourself that question, how do you feel during the summer holidays? How do you feel about yourself, and how do you feel about your child, is a really important place to start. I used to feel really guilty that I felt bad about the summer holiday. I felt bad about myself because I didn't feel good enough as a parent, because I found it, I was so triggered. You know, I was so triggered, and I just thought, this is not natural. You know, but then I had to keep reminding myself, look, you don't know, you know, parenting doesn't come with a book, let alone all the trauma and stuff that I went through with my mum to be a parent. So it was important for me to be really, really gentle with myself as a parent, and give myself permission to take my time to work through that stuff, so that I could be a really good daughter to my child. And it took time. It takes time to unpick that stuff. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it. So be really honest with yourself about how you feel. The second thing I wanted to ask, that's important to ask yourself, is what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself, and what did you learn about your child? It's important to also ask this question, because those things that you learn about yourself, you can't change anything unless you're honest about what's happening. You can't change anything about if you're willing to go to that place of humility and be willing and open to learning about your child. Quite often, a lot of the older generation, and probably people around my age as well, they quite often see parenting as something that you do to your children. You're the grown up, so therefore you know everything, you have to do everything, you have to be the one in charge, you have to be the one in control, and all the rest of it. But what I've learned as a parent, and what's worked actually really well, is actually parenting with your child, which is very different. And that's what I like to call compassionate parenting, compassionate motherhood, because it's not just something that I make the decision about, and then I just I do this or I do that. It is that to a certain degree, but I tend to communicate a lot more with my child, and I understand that she has her own thoughts and feelings and boundaries, and she has her own thoughts and feelings about things, and I respect that she is a separate person from me. She's not an extension from me. That's the difference with what in what I call compassionate parenting. My daughter is not an extension of me. She is a separate person, and I have to respect her thoughts, her feelings. I have to respect her body. She's got her own boundaries. She's got her own views about things. And when I started to make that shift and actually have more conversations with her about, just learning about who she is as a person, and not just expecting her to be a mini version of myself with all my own thoughts and my own feelings and my values. That's not who she is. She's a separate person. And the more I learn about her as a separate person, the more there's a lot of mutual respect. In my experience, a lot of the elders that I grew up around, they actually think that respect is actually being afraid of your parents. And this is probably might upset a few people by saying this, but I believe that fear and respect are not the same thing. And actually, fear just creates resentment. It creates resentment, it creates anger, it creates mistrust. And a lot of parents, we've been taught, to sort of, parent with the kind of iron rod sort of thing. And that's not a healthy way to connect. For me personally, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me as a parent. I had that experience as a child, and I made a decision that I did not want to raise my child to be scared of me, because my child is not going to trust me if she's scared of me. Trust and fear are not, they don't go hand in hand. You can't have both. Either you're going to have one or the other. And I made the decision that I did not want my child to fear me. I want my child to be able to trust me, because that's how you build relationships. Relationships are built on the ability to feel safe. That is primarily what a safe relationship is built on. Whether it's a relationship with your child, whether it's a love relationship, whether it's a sibling relationship, the cornerstone of that relationship being successful and being honored is your ability to be able to trust that person. And if you can't trust that person, that relationship, it's going to be dysfunctional. It's going to be dysfunctional at some level, because if you don't trust that person, you're not going to be able to be honest with that person. You're always going to be hiding things. You can't really be your true self, because you're always going to be afraid of how the other person is going to react. So if we want our children to, if we want to be an example to our children and what it means to be honest and respectful, it has to go both ways. It's important that respect goes both ways. And so So honoring my daughter as a separate person and learning about who she is as a separate human being is a really important part, is a really important part of the summer holidays, because I'm spending a lot more time with her. I'm listening to more to what she's saying. I'm listening to more about how she thinks, how she feels about things. There's more opportunities for me to be able to step into her world and to honor what her needs are. You know, during term time, it can get very busy. It can get very, very busy, and can get quite overwhelming with all the tasks and the homework and the going to this club and going to that club, and then all the household chores and everything that need to be done. It can be very, very difficult sometimes to have that to have that one-on-one time, that connection time where I'm really present and really able to hear her. And this is what I learned about myself. This is what I learned about myself, that I'm not spending enough time, or I'm not managing my time enough so that I'm not doing too many multitasks. I'm multitasking too much. And the fallout of that is that I'm unable to be as present with her as I really want to be. I want to be a lot more present with her, but because I'm multitasking too much, you know, it's impossible to be present for her. And that's going to create a resentment in her. You know, she's going to feel sad. She's going to feel disconnected. And that has, you know, that does come up more during term time. It does come up more during term time. So what I learned about her and myself during the summer holidays is the importance of, you know, structuring the term time schedule to make sure that there are, you know, important connection pivot points during the day that honor the fact that we need connection, that we're present. And one of the things that I do talk about, I have a training called Mindful Motherhood. It's if you go to backtoschool.juneallen.net, you can find the training there where I talk about mindful motherhood. And one of the things that I talk about in that training is finding different sections during the day, or creating connection points during the day where you're present. And it can be simple things like making sure that you have breakfast in the morning, not just kind of, you know, while you're rushing around the kitchen and she's shoving cereal in her mouth or whatever it is you're eating. It's actually making it a sacred time to set the table, to prepare what you're actually going to eat, and making sure what you eat is actually nourishing your body. So it becomes, it's not just the time where you're just shoving something in before you go to school. It actually is a moment that becomes a sacred time. Create sacred time with your child. And the meal times are, you know, a fantastic place to start. Another thing that I used to do with my daughter actually, but I'm re-implementing it as part of this kind of reset process now that she's going back to school, is actually spending more time in the mornings doing meditation, honoring our ancestors, doing affirmations, just having some spiritual time together as a family, so that we can have that point of connection with each other and our ancestors and the creator, God, Ra, however you identify with that, as a family, and understanding that, you know, our ancestors and Ra, our spiritual practice, our spiritual process has to be an important part of our term time ritual, you know. So that was a really important thing that I learned, about what's important about family time and stuff like that. So yeah, if you go to backtoschool.juneallen.net, the training is actually in there. If you're watching this on the replay, and I've actually taken the back to school page down, you can actually get the specific mindful motherhood training at mothers.juneallen.net. That's mothers.juneallen.net. I'll put the link in the comments anyway, so then you can click on it there, and it'll make it much easier. So the last summer lesson that I wanted to share with you is, or question to ask yourself is, what do you need to grow? What do you need to do to grow? And that kind of links back a little bit to what I was saying, in the previous question about finding specific pockets in the day to be able to connect with your child. So after you've been honest about how you feel, number one, you've been honest about, what you've learned about your child and about yourself. Then the third thing is to do is, what you're going to do to grow. What action do you need to take? Because there's no point in asking yourself these questions if you're not going to implement. Executing these things is one of the most powerful things. It's the most important thing, and that's the difference between, whether your parenting relationship is going to be successful or not. Because a lot of time, we can talk about these things. A lot of people are willing to talk about the youth in a negative way. But what are we actually doing as parents? What is our part in the way that our children behave or act out, when they're unhappy? Children have got different ways of saying that they're in pain. And a lot of times we don't hear the words "I'm in pain." We just focus on what the behavior is, and we focus on stopping the behavior. But if we want to be really, really good parents, and if we want to be connected to our children, if we want to build relationships with our children, we've got to be willing to ask, well, instead of looking at the behavior, being willing to ask the question, what is the pain about? What's underneath the behavior? What's driving the behavior? What's causing our children to feel so disconnected? Because ultimately, that is what our children want. They want to feel connected. They want to feel respected. They want to be seen and they want to be heard. That stuff is so important. So thinking about what action can you take as a family to start to rebuild those connections during term time before things get really busy and stuff like that. Some of the things that I'm going to be implementing, like I said before, we're going to be reintroducing the in the mornings we're having our spiritual time together. We do try to, and of the breakfast thing as well. Sometimes I get that falls off the wagon every now and then. We do get a little bit lax during the summer because obviously we get up different times and all the rest of it. Sorry, we get up later. We don't get up different times. We get up later than we normally do together, because there's no school run or anything. But also some of the things that really work for us as a family is like we have family meetings. That in of itself is really good in terms of us hearing each other. I always create a list of things that are working with the family, and I know I ask my daughter what types of things that she'd like to do next year. If we're talking specifically around the school holidays, we had a little bit of a catch up, and I'll say to her, okay, well, what were the best bits of the summer holiday that you enjoyed? And what were the things that you found difficult? Did you find it boring? Did you feel connected? Did you feel like do you want to spend more time with your friends? Do you want to do a bit more family things? Is there anything that you didn't do this year that you want to do next year? All of that kind of stuff. And write it down. I'm always opening these Google documents, and I will just start writing all these things in there. So when summer comes around next year, I'm not stuck for things to do. And also the questions that I asked you about to ask yourself about how you feel and all that kind of stuff, kind of make a note of those things, write those things down, and then write down what is the opposite that you want to feel, and then write down what do you need to do, what do you think you could do to get from A to B, from the negative feeling to the positive feeling that you want. What are the types of things that you think that you need to do to get that? If you need more support with that, you go to the training at mothers.juneallen.net, and I talk about, I talk a lot about positive things that you can do with your children and how to connect more and stuff like that. But use the summer holiday as a tool to enhance your relationship with your children and to learn, and be willing and open to learn from your children. Your children can teach you so much. Your children are gifts from God, and they can teach you. They can teach you about where your wounds are. They can teach you about where you need to grow. So just learn together. Get the support that you need and learn together, because that makes parenting for me, it just makes it such more of a beautiful experience when I'm involved with my children. And also, I talk to my daughter very openly, and I say to her, look, I'm not a perfect mum. I don't get it right all the time. I don't get it right all the time. I make mistakes. I don't know all the answers. Sometimes I tell her I don't know all the answers. And I'll say, look, I'm struggling with this, what to do. I'm struggling with what to do with this. It doesn't mean that I'm handing my responsibility as a parent over to her. But sometimes I think it's important to be able to be imperfect as a parent and just to be able to say to my daughter, look, you know what, I'm struggling a bit with this one. I'm going to have to either get some outside help, or what do you think about this? And just see what they have to say. See what they have to say. And that's how I'm finding the relationship gets built. That's how I'm finding the relationship gets built. So be honest with yourself about what it is you need to grow. Do you need more outside help? Do you need one-on-one support? Do you realize that you're so triggered by your children because you had a difficult relationship with your parent and you don't know where to start? Email me, info@yardofgreatness.com, if you need support with that. There's no shame in asking for help. If you want to break the pathologies that, there are things maybe that happened with your when you were growing up that were difficult. Maybe you're still struggling with the relationship that you have with your parents and you don't know where to start. If you're a mum and you had a difficult relationship with your mum, it makes sense that you're going to have difficulty raising your own children. It's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. And there's no shame in asking for help, for one-on-one support with that if you need it. So, if you go to backtoschool.juneallen.net, there's a lot of resources and stuff that I've posted in there, free stuff as well, that are going to help you to really start to get honest about what you need in this process. But the summer holidays it's a gift. The summer holidays are a gift. Hi, thanks for joining. If you don't know who I am, if you've never seen me before, my name is June Allen from juneallen.net, and I teach sisters how to heal from addiction to self-hate with racial sobriety. So today's topic, I am talking about 3 summer lessons to kind of, get into compassionate motherhood. So the first thing question that I was asking people to do is to ask the question, how do you feel about the summer holidays? The second question that I've asked is, what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself, and what did you learn about your child? And the third thing, which is what I'm talking about at the moment, is, how can you grow from the experience? What can you learn from the summer holidays that you can implement next year? What can you learn about yourself as a parent that you can implement today? What can you learn about yourself as a parent? Do you need help? Do you need to get more external help? Do you need more solitude? So one of the things that I've realized about being a parent over the summer holidays is term times can be really quite busy, and quite often I can get lost in the busyness, and I abandon myself. I don't give myself enough time to myself. I don't get enough wind down time. I don't get enough time to just be, and not have anything on my schedule. There always seems to be a schedule, and that's something that I don't want to get caught up in. I don't want to get caught up in all of that during term time. So this is something that I learned, that in order for me to be a better parent, I have to be willing to take stuff off my plate so that I can be a lot more present for my daughter, so that I can be more present for myself, that I can enjoy my life a lot more and not just feel like I'm on this huge, wheel of to-do lists, and I've also got to learn to delegate a lot more. There are certain things that, I don't need to always think that I need to do it myself. There are things that I can delegate out to other people. I might have to pay them if necessary, and that's okay, because it means that I'm going to be able to focus on what's important. And primarily that means being an amazing parent. It also means that I take, ultimate care of myself so that I can be a good parent, and that I can show up and do, what I'm called to do, which is doing this work, which is sharing my experience, strength, and hope with other Black women who are struggling with parenting or struggling with addiction to self-hate. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to serve other people and to help other people learn how to take care of themselves. And I can't do that if I'm not taking care of myself. So the summer holidays for me, the lessons over the summer holidays were that I need to really take better care of myself during term time and not kind of get caught up in the madness. So the last really, really quick thing that I wanted to share was, if you're an entrepreneur, obviously like myself, you're a mom and you're an entrepreneur, and you know, you need support and stuff about getting back on track, and you know, how you're going to manage your time and all the rest of it. You know, I have so many people asking me, who's my business coach? And one of the things that I was talking about just earlier about, you know, do I need one-on-one support? I wasn't just talking about, obviously there's the one-on-one support in terms of mentorship, in terms of therapy, in terms of, you know, might be group support, whatever it is that looks like for you, that you think you might need to actually help you through the emotional, and all of that kind of stuff around being a parent. But if you're a mum and you're also an entrepreneur, there's also the business side of things as well. And I have the most amazing business coach, who I would not be showing up on here live if it wasn't for her. Her name is LaShonda Henry, and I've been working with her for a good couple of years. And at the moment, she's been doing a great series of live streams and talking about how to get your business back on track, and how to kind of, you know, slot yourself back into the business of yeah, just getting back to business. Children have gone back to school. She's a mum as well. She works from home. She's been, you know, helping people make sense of money online for 17 years. I think she's been doing it, and she's an amazing business mentor. At the moment, she's got an amazing offer on, where she's selling 10 business trainings for $10. So I've basically been telling people, look, you've been hearing me talking about my business coach before. If you go to sistersense.juneallen.net, and obviously if you go to the link from and back to school, it's actually in that as well. So if you go to sistersense.juneallen.net, you just take you directly to a PDF where I talk all about her, and the information about the 10 trainings for $10 is in there. So if you're struggling with sales, if you're struggling with you know, marketing, if you're struggling with how to, you know, put stuff together, how to do blogging, you name it, there's so many amazing trainings in this offer that she's got. She does lots of other things as well, and I do talk about some of the other trainings that I've done with her. But she really is the most amazing business mentor. And at the end of the day, we've got to remember that as parents, as well as entrepreneurs, we can't do this stuff by ourselves. We cannot do this stuff by ourselves. We need other people in our circle who are championing us to get the stuff done, to win. And so another important thing about the summer holidays that I've learned is just reviewing who's actually in my circle at the moment who really wants me to win. Are there people in your circle at the moment that are negative, that are getting you down, that secretly don't want you to win, that keep telling you that, you know, that your ideas are not going to work and all the rest of it, that have not really got good things to say about parenting, that are not offering you positive ways to be your best self as a parent or as an entrepreneur? It's important to review these things on a regular basis. I'm finding that I'm doing this now every sort of few months. And it doesn't mean I kind of pick people up and dump them, but it just means that I'm more mindful about, you know, where I spend my time, because the older I get and the more love that I have for myself, I'm realizing how important it is to be very discerning about who you have in your circle, why they're in your circle, and how much time you spend with those people, because different people are going to have different gifts. Different people are going to have different gifts. People can't be everything to you. They're not going to have everything that you want. They're going to have different. They're going to bring different things to the friendship. They're going to bring different things to the mix. So as a mum and an entrepreneur, it is really important to be discerning about who you have in your circle. You know, and as you love yourself, and as you grow, and as you change, both as a parent or as an entrepreneur, the people that you have in your circle are very important, and you're going to need to tweak them every now and then. You learn things about other people, and you go, actually, maybe that person is not, you know, it's not really a great fit for this particular thing, but I love this person for that part of it that they bring into my life, and that's okay. But it's being able to be honest with yourself about what your, what your friendships mean to you, and what they, there are some friends that I have that, I can't have certain conversations with, and there are some friends that I have other conversations with. But it's being honest with yourself about what those friendships bring to you, what those people in your circle bring to you, and make sure that the people that are in your circle want you to win. Making sure that the people that are in your circle want you to win. Because there are people that will be in your circle that are there. There are people who will come to but they don't bring nothing with them. And over the years, I've had to be a lot more discerning, because at the end of the day, if people are always coming to eat, but they're not bringing a bag of rice, or they're not bringing some salad or whatever, they're not bringing anything to the table, I can no longer feed people in that way. I can't do that anymore. I have to protect my own. I have to protect my own energy from people that are, that are people that are, and also I have to respect. I have to also respect, my gift. I'm disrespecting God when I do that. I'm disrespecting God when I do that. So I also have to be respectful of my gift in not just giving it out to people, especially when the people that want to come and eat are not willing to go in the kitchen and cook. Have people in your circle that want you to win as a parent or an entrepreneur, that are willing to bring something to the table, that are going to contribute, and also that are doing the work themselves. That is so important to me, because sometimes people just want to come, and they want to come and eat, and they want to come and sit at the table, and they want to hear what you got to say, but they don't want to do the work. And that's no disrespect to them. Everybody's at different stages of their own journey, and that is their thing. That's up to them. But at the end of the day, what is that going to do to you to be in a situation where you're always giving to people that are not willing to help themselves? You've got to be discerning about your be discerning about your who's in your circle. And as a parent, that is also going to set a powerful example to your children about how to set boundaries around people. Doesn't mean that you're mean to people, it doesn't mean that you dump people, but it just means that you're discerning, and you're discerning about having people in your circle that want you to win, people that you trust, people that are doing the work, people that are willing to show up, people that you trust. That's how you build a family of choice. That's how you build a family of choice. Yeah? So that's how it's got to work over the summer holidays. Don't let the summer holidays pass you by without using it as an opportunity to review, reset, to realign what you need to do to take care of yourself, and to empower your children, and to empower your business as well if you've got a business. If you want more information about what I've spoken about today, you can go to backtoschool.juneallen.net. All the information is in there, but I will put all of the links in the comments afterwards. Thank you so much for joining me today. If there's anybody that if you're watching me on the replay and you know somebody that might be interested in some of the things that I've spoken about today, then share it with them, tag them, Thank you for joining me today, and I shall see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.